The big day is almost upon us, and while it may be joyous for some, others are simply seeking a home and family to share it with. So if you can, adopt a child this Christmas. Later, we'll show you how. I'm Adrian Atkins, and welcome and thanks for choosing to spend another Wednesday watching Jamaica Magazine. From parenting skills to parenting a business, we have all that planned just for you. So stay tuned.
Protect yourself from the flu virus. Visit your nearest health center or doctor to get the flu vaccine. Cover your mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing. Wash your hands regularly with soap and water or by using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid the spread of germs by not touching your eyes, mouth, or nose. And be sure to regularly disinfect surfaces and objects that are used often. Remember, your health is your responsibility.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, December 18. Culture Minister Olivia Grange has unveiled plans to celebrate the exploits of Miss Jamaica Toni-Ann Singh, the newly crowned Miss World. The weekend celebrations kick off Friday on Miss Singh's arrival with her father, Bradshaw, and members of the Miss World International Organization headed by Chairman Julia Morley.
Toni-Ann has proven herself to be an exceptional ambassador for our country. She represented Jamaica so ably during the competition, and we all look forward to her journey as the new Miss World.
Minister Grange was addressing a post-cabinet press briefing this morning. On Saturday, Miss Singh will perform at a tribute concert at Emancipation Park and attend Unruly Fest in St. Thomas. On Sunday, there will be a tour of St. Thomas, the parish of Miss Singh's birth. Activities on the day will include a floral tribute at the graveside of her grandfather, Harold Singh, a visit to the Women's Center Foundation in Morant Bay, a reception hosted by the Mayor of Morant Bay, and a private reception at Jamaica House with Prime Minister Andrew Holness. And on Monday, Miss Singh will hold courtesy calls with the Governor General, Prime Minister, and a leader of the opposition. Before her departure, Miss Singh will tour the headquarters of the Women's Center Foundation in Kingston and have lunch with Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett. Still at the post-cabinet press briefing Wednesday, Minister with Oversight for Information Carl Samuda says Cabinet has approved the establishment of a Violence Prevention Commission. The brainchild of Prime Minister Andrew Holness, the commission will, among other things, carry out a comprehensive review of existing public and private violence prevention programs and studies. The commission will also examine government strategies dealing with violence.
It will seek to identify gaps in the prevention and intervention services that are provided and to make recommendations with respect to violence prevention and intervention programs. And it will also create a 10-year action plan which will guide the operations and execution of this area of great concern nationally.
Persons applying for a public passenger vehicle PPV badge can now go through an online training program. This after the Transport Authority launched the PPV driving app to help improve the proficiencies of the drivers. Minister of Transport Robert Montego says the app is now available on Android devices but will be available on iOS later this week.
It is being done in a game format, so you can't move to the next level until you have conquered one level. So you can't move from the road code part to the driving part until you have conquered the road code. So, and you do it at your own pace, in your own time, in your own privacy. So by that, we hope to increase the competency of the drivers who are already in the system and work with those who are coming.
Minister Montego was speaking at the Transport Authority's official launch of the Drive Safe application. The launch of the app follows the recent signing of a tripartite agreement with the Transport Authority, Edufocal Business Limited, and British Caribbean insurance company BCIC. Ground has been broken for a $4 million craft medicinal hemp farm at Long Pond Estate in Trelawney. 30 Jamaicans have been employed to the 650-acre property, which has been leased by Organic Growth Holdings Incorporated from the Sugar Company Holdings of Jamaica. It's expected that wellness products from the farm will be exported or sold in gift shops, spas and pharmacies across the island by the second quarter of next year. At last Wednesday's groundbreaking, Agriculture Minister Audley Shaw said lands have been set aside for small farmers to access.
4,000 acres of land will be made available to our small farmers. So make sure you apply, get your land. We're working with the Sugar Company Holdings of Jamaica. Those who want to, on their pieces of land to produce sugar cane, same way, we will help you reap it and help you to have it processed.
A new male ward being constructed at the St. James Infirmary will be completed next year. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie gave the assurance recently, saying the ward will cater to 45 residents and be outfitted with a nurse's station, restrooms, beds, and state-of-the-art equipment. A matron's quarters will also be constructed on the grounds of the infirmary to start in the new year.
I've given instructions a short while ago for the ministry's technical team to work with the technical team here at the St. James Municipal Corporation to prepare the necessary designs and estimate for the construction of the new matron quarters, which we are hoping once we get those situations out of the way, we can commence construction of the facility in the new financial year.
The ward is being constructed at a cost of more than $55 million and will complement the existing ward, which has been outgrown by the population of male residents at the institution. It's funded from a $220 million investment provided by the National Housing Trust to upgrade facilities and infrastructure at various infirmaries. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Mosquitoes can spread diseases such as dengue fever. Common symptoms of dengue include fever, severe headache, pain behind the eyes, muscle pain, joint pain, skin rash, nausea, and vomiting. If you feel you have dengue fever, visit your doctor or health center, rest, drink lots of fluids, use only paracetamol for pain. Do not take aspirin or other painkillers. Protect yourself from dengue and other mosquito-borne diseases. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Adoption carries the added dimension of connection not only for your own tribe but beyond, widening the scope of what constitutes love, ties and family. It is the larger embrace. Isabella Rossellini. Think on those words. And while you do, here's how the CPFSA is making the child adoption process much easier.
The Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, has taken steps to make the adoption process much easier. Joining me is Adoption Coordinator, Mrs. Maxine Bogelo, who will be giving us some information about the changes made. Thank you for coming, Mrs. Bogelo.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to go straight into it. What are the changes made?
Okay, before 2016, we had a two-tier system. First, applicants were asked to complete a pre-adoption form and then submit that to us. Now that would normally take some time. So we reviewed the system and said that it would be best if maybe we erase that part of the process. So now what applicants have to do is that they go straight to our website and where they will find the adoption forms. The forms include the application form, the medical form, one for the child and the applicants, and the guidelines which outline all the information and all the required documents that need to be submitted with the application form.
Awesome. And what are the required documents?
The required documents are the birth certificates, marriage certificates if they are married, job letters and income statements, references from persons who know them, not a family member. And the references should not necessarily speak only to the person being a nice or a good person, but it should speak to how would they care for a child. That should be included, their capacity to care for a child. If the child is in school, we would need a child's last school report as well.
And when all of that is completed, what's the next step?
The next step would be submit all of those to the CPFSA. When it is here now, we would review to ensure that all documents are here. Now, if all the information is there, the application is reviewed, given a number, and assigned to a caseworker. And a letter would be sent to the applicant informing them of this and who the person is. Once the caseworker gets that application, that caseworker would now start to prepare appointments to interview both the applicants, the child, and whosoever, the birth parents, because the birth parents are also very important in the process.
And what if there are no birth parents?
Well, if there are no birth parents, we would have had death certificates for the parents if they have died. If they are nowhere around or cannot be located, there are avenues that we would have to take internally to ensure that we try our best to find them.
And once that's completed, what's next?
Once that is completed, the officers then would have to do a comprehensive report. And that report would have to be compiled and then submitted to the adoption board, because the adoption board is the only agency in Jamaica that can approve adoption at that level. So after the approval, it is submitted to the adoption board and approval is given, then it is now preparation for court. Because court is where it is finalized legally.
How long does that process usually last?
The entire process? We are at now 3 to 6 months, depending on if there are no challenges.
And once you get to court, then?
Once we get to court, well, court is held depending on the availability by the court. Some courts have set dates, while others will have to submit our documents and await their decision as to when we can come to court. Now, once the court has signed off on those documents, for adoption orders, it is the applicant's responsibility to collect those, and they will take a copy to the RGD, where they will apply for the new birth certificate for the adopted child.
And is there any cost associated with any of this process?
No, adoptions are free in Jamaica.
Is there anything else that Jamaica needs to know about the process?
We need adopters, prospective adopters, to understand that it is important that they submit all the documents, and it is also important that they are truthful in the stories that they give pertaining to how a child is placed in their care. Because what we find is that sometimes when we approach birth parents, they are not aware that this child is being adopted. They know that somebody is caring for their child, but that was not the arrangement that they adopted for. Persons generally who wish to adopt should love a child, should really want to take care of a child, because it's a lifelong investment. Persons, they should have proper accommodation for their child. They should be able to financially can afford to take care of that child. And they should be willing to accept that child as theirs. And that is very important, because we see sometimes that persons adopt for many different reasons, and this can affect the relationship of that child for the rest of their lives.
How can people reach out to you to find out or to just inquire about the adoption process?
Okay, we have an email address, adoption@childprotection.gov.jm, and our straight line to the unit is 922-1751.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bogelo.
You're welcome.
On our roads, remember, take time, be courteous, drive good, walk good. Part of keeping our roads safe is ensuring the vehicles we drive are mechanically safe, meeting all roadworthy requirements. And besides that, we must be good drivers and avoid risk-taking and sensation-seeking behaviors which are prone to causing road crashes.
After the adoption process, it may very well be time to get yourself familiar with some effective parenting techniques. And if you're dealing with a toddler, we have you covered.
can be very frustrating. And a lot of times people don't feel like they really have an answer to everything. And the truth is that that is the reality. But there are different things that people can try. We're not saying that any one thing works for everybody or that you'll even get the outcome that you want immediately. Especially when you're dealing with young children, you might have to try something several times before you see a particular result. So for example, if it is that you want a child to learn the difference between right and wrong, a lot of times in the past we use pain to teach that this is wrong, right? But we find that ultimately when you hit a child, what you're teaching them to do is when I don't like something, I should hit and I should lash out. What you want to try in a situation like that, you can try removing privileges. If there are things that the child might love to do, or even the age-old timeout, you know, where you say, listen, for this period, you have to sit by yourself, there's no communication, there's no talking, sit down and be still. Sometimes you have to physically just hold your child and help them to breathe through it, because you have some children where they have so much emotion and so much anger and they want to get it out, that it's really difficult for them to regulate it at such a young age. And so you have to physically hold them, put your hand on them, help them to breathe through it until they're calm. And with children, even if they don't understand necessarily the big concept of right and wrong, they can sometimes understand tone, right? And tone is not the same thing as lashing out and using certain words and calling them different names. Tone is being firm and saying, I do not want you on this. So for example, if a child keeps going up on something, you might have to take them off it 10 times, right? And continue to reinforce with the same tone and consistency that you do not want them on this. And also for younger children, sometimes you have to be the one to remove whatever it is that you don't want them to interact with from the environment, right? Because they're so young and so impulsive, you can't necessarily leave it to them to understand I shouldn't touch this thing, right? So that's how we deal with the younger children.
Let's transition a bit from albeit well-needed parenting tips to hear from a lady who is into mixology. And then we can jump right back into talking about our little ones.
Welcome to the Joyce Spence after this day home experience.
It's absolutely amazing, isn't it?
It is.
I'd like to just take the opportunity to welcome you to this particular discussion. And I know it's over 25 years since you've been in the business, but we want to go back as far as we possibly can to early days. Where did you grow up and what was life like for you? What were your dreams and aspirations?
Well, I grew up in Kingston, although I was born in Manchester, but we moved to Kingston at about age 2. And I attended micropracticing primary. Then I went to Holy Childhood High School, and that's where I fell in love with chemistry because of my chemistry teacher.
Right.
So I decided that I wanted to become the best chemist there is in the world. And so I pursued a degree in chemistry at the University of the West Indies, where I graduated with a BSc in first class honors. At that point, I thought I probably would be in a research laboratory.
Yes.
But I actually went back to my alma mater and did a stint of teaching in chemistry for the upper school. Then I lectured at the College of Arts, Science and Technology.
No, you take.
No, you take.
Yes.
And decided that I wanted to get some manufacturing experience. So I joined Tia Maria as a research chemist. Then I became very bored because it was a one-product operation.
Yes.
And G.R. is right next door to Tia Maria. So in my hours of boredom, I'd look across the fence and I would see tankers rolling in, people looking very busy. And I said, oh, that's a very interesting place to work.
Right.
So I sent in my resume, and they invited me over for an interview. They interviewed me and said, well, actually, we do not have a position available, but we were so impressed with your resume. So I left and I said, okay, nothing tried, nothing done.
Nothing done, indeed. And this
So-
was 1981.
1981.
Good, yes.
So 2 weeks later, they called me and said, we created a position for you, the position of chief chemist. And this is when I fell in love with rum, because I never drank rum before that time. And so I started to work with the previous master blender and became so fascinated with the whole art of blending and sensory analysis. And this is what led me to where I am today.
How were you able to navigate your way through this particular industry that is considered a male-dominated profession?
Well, first of all, I understudied the previous master blender for 17 years.
Yes.
So everyone in the industry knew that I was understudying him. So when he retired, I was appointed master blender. And it was at that point in time where we did our research that we realized that there was no other female in the entire world that was a master blender.
Right.
And I said to myself, I never thought that I would, have accomplished anything as great as this, being the first woman to actually shatter the glass ceiling for other women.
Right. How did that make you feel after being appointed the first female master blender?
I didn't believe it at first, I said, I wonder if they had the research right, because I was never ever looking at that when I was working with the previous master blender and understanding him. I just wanted to become the best blender there is.
Right.
And it was very proud to be a Jamaican woman having achieved this.
And so a rare 25-year-old rum, aptly named after you, Joy. Tell us about that and what went into that and how did you feel about having a beverage being named after you?
I selected my favorite 25-year-old pot still rum. So it became the heart and soul of the blend because it had this amazing orange peel, nutmeg and ginger notes. And I combined it with other rums to create this magnificent blend. So overall, this rum now has the amazing orange peel top note intertwined with ginger, nutmeg and spice, finishing with warm vanilla, coffee and cocoa notes with this amazing brown sugar finish. Just absolutely delicious.
But how does it feel to be described as a visionary craftswoman extraordinaire?
It's a humbling feeling,
Yes.
It's a proud feeling, and importantly, I like to encourage young women who are looking at a profession to think outside the box and to look at how you can apply chemistry in very interesting fields such as the one that I am in.
I know that the words that you've given will no doubt empower so many lives in a profound way. So thank you so much for talking with us. and I
Thank
wish
you for having
total
me on your
blessing.
program.
Earlier in the program, we spoke about adopting a child, especially now during the Christmas season. Here are some reasons you should once you can. Adoption can open a child to the possibility of having a better life with committed parents and a stable home. It can build meaningful and rewarding relationships between the parents adopting and the child. And adoption provides the opportunity for children to be as well adjusted as their peers. So, if you can, adopt a child. This is just one piece of the puzzle coming together to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
Coffee was introduced to Jamaica in 1728. Creighton Estate was established around 1765, and the Blue Mountain Range and the central region of Jamaica, which is the Grand Ridge of Jamaica, with the major coffee producing regions. Currently, we are fully certified under the Rainforest Alliance, and we are the very first entity in the Caribbean region to attain that certification. Now, the Blue Mountain Range of Jamaica is a microclimate of the island and has provided the perfect conditions for growing the Arabica coffee. A typical day in the Blue Mountain, the most sunlight is in the mornings from about 11:32 to 4 p.m. You know, this is the weather that we experience. This is a norm in the Blue Mountain. It's nothing unusual, you know, for the range to be covered with mist. And after sunset, the temperature basically goes below 20 degrees Celsius. So those are the perfect ingredients to develop high quality coffee. You know, the culture here is rich. We're an extremely creative, you know, set of people. In Jamaica, there's everything. If you're a nature lover, we have it. If you like the wetlands, we have it. You know, great coffee, you know, great food. You know, God has been good to us. You know, the God has been good to us. The universe has been good to us, you know, as a country. You know, and this rock, I love it, man. I love it.
It has been a fulfilling 30 minutes with you as my company, and while we have to end today's show, tomorrow promises even more information you can use. If you want to see this and other episodes again, just visit our website or YouTube channel. You can also keep up with us on our Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter pages. And just before we go, here are some words to remember and live by. Family is not defined by our genes. It is built and maintained through love. Amelia G. On behalf of the entire production team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkins, and thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.